this slide as well.
Okay, I'm supposed to introduce myself for the recording. My name is Donna Kincaid, and I'm really not the important person here. Jenny is, but when I visit with Jenny, people don't know my name anyway. I'm just Jenny's mom. And the staff in particular, when I visit at St. Joe's, do try to learn my name, but they say, no, you're just Jenny's mom. It's okay. But yeah, Jenny's got a bit of a backstory. Maybe I should tell you a bit about myself. Okay, there's Jenny's mom. This was when Jenny and I were first certified, and that was as the Courtney said that that was in 2017 we were certified. The reason that I wanted to have a therapy cat was because I had semi-retired and was working from home and needed some socialization. And so the Oakville Humane Society said, oh, we're looking for somebody who has a cat. And I happened to have a cat at that time whose name was Felia. And Felia was a purebred Aussie cat. And we visited informally for 2 years with the Oakville Humane Society because I lived in Mississauga at the time. But then when I moved to Brantford in 2006, Felia went through the testing with therapeutic cause, and we started visiting all over the place in Brantford and Brant County. We went to long-term care homes, we went to retirement homes, we visited at the hospice, we visited at the hospital. Felia was a very outgoing cat. She thought she was a dog. She walked on a leash. She did commands. She was very, very different than Jenny. Unfortunately, Felia passed at only age 12 with kidney failure, and I didn't know what I was going to do because I really missed the visits. So I went to the rescue that unfortunately no longer exists, Haven's Hope. It was with the Brantford Vet Clinic, and one of their staff had started this rescue in the basement of the vet clinic, and it existed, I think, for about 5 years. I went to them, made the online application, and said, this is what I would like to adopt, the characteristics of what the cat I would like to adopt should be. Well, after they stopped laughing, they said, well, we have 41 cats right now, but we don't really think that any of them are going to work, but this one might. And her name was Montana. And as Courtney mentioned, Jenny had been dumped at a barn out in the county with her 6 4-week-old kittens. And the farmer realized that Jenny just wasn't going to make it in the barn. She had obviously been someone's pet. She hadn't been spayed. She was only 10 months old. She had these 6 kittens. Oh dear, what are we going to do? So he was very responsible and brought her into this rescue. And the reason they took her was because they had 2 orphan kittens that they would bottle feed every 2 hours. And they said, nursing mom, will she take our 2 kittens and take some of the workload off? And she said, sure, fine, 6, 8, what the heck? Well, we'll nurse them. And so she stayed at the rescue. Her kittens were adopted. She was spayed. And I went to meet her. And she wasn't the prettiest cat in the world at the time because she'd been nursing 8 kittens. And her hair was kind of thin and dull. And she was a bit nervous. But I thought she had the right temperament to be a therapy cat. So they said, well, take her, and if she doesn't work out, you can bring her back. Well, that wasn't going to happen. There was just no way. I was attached to this cat right away. Unfortunately, my aunt and I had booked a 5-week trip to Alaska and the Yukon, and I didn't want Jenny to bond with the pet sitter. So the rescue agreed to keep her, and she was the den mother to 17 adolescent cats. And I don't know how she survived it, but I do think that influenced her ability to be a therapy cat because it certainly taught her patience. But she, when we got home from Alaska and the Yukon, we brought her home, and she had a housemate named Sunshine, who was my aunt's rather elderly um, calico. And Jenny was very gentle with 14, 15-year-old Sunshine, and so we thought, oh, okay, they'll get along. But Jenny needed some time. Jenny needed to get used to being in a house again, being away from kittens. So I gave her some time, did things like took her to PetSmart to socialize her, but I gave her about 6 months, and then I started looking for um, time that she could be certified by Therapeutic Paws of Canada. But I should explain what a therapy cat is. And this is such a common misconception. It is not a service cat. It's not like the autism dogs, not like the CNIB dogs. I don't think there legally is such a thing as a service cat. Some people claim that they have an emotional support cat, but I don't think that really flies with the legislation either. Jenny is definitely my emotional support cat, and she is very aware of the fact that if I'm upset or not feeling well, but she doesn't have any papers that says she's an emotional support cat. People have a whole bunch of misconceptions about a therapy cat. We often run into families at St. Joe's when we're visiting and say, oh, where did you pick her up today to bring her to visit? She lives with me? Oh, but don't you go to a shelter someplace and just pick her up and then take her back after the visit? No, she is my personal cat. No, we do not get paid to do the visits. Nobody pays the vet bills except Jean and I. Nobody donates the food. She is just like a cat, but she also has a side job. Therapy cats are about 5% of the therapy animals in, I'm going to say, North America. There are, as far as we know, 12 of them in Canada. The whole country has 12. There's only the one organization that does the testing and the certification, and that's Therapeutic Paws of Canada. And they have, before COVID, it was 18. We were down to 10. There's been a couple added since. So I normally quote the figure of 12. There are tons and tons and tons of dogs, but cats are pretty rare. Anybody who owns a cat probably thinks, I don't think my cat would do that. I think I added it up, 7 cats in my adult lifetime, and only 2 of them were potential therapy cats, and fortunately worked out that way. The majority, surprisingly, of therapy cats are males. I've had 2 females, but I recently read that the majority are males, and there's a preference. If people want a therapy cat, they're inclined to buy a purebred because there is a better chance of the characteristics that you will get in a purebred. Ophelia was an Aussie cat, which in retrospect wasn't going to be a good chance of being a therapy cat, but she worked out. Her brother, out of the same litter, would have been a disaster. He was very shy and he was too nervous. He wouldn't have worked out. But a lot of the therapy cats that I've seen, and you'll see pictures shortly, are Maine Coons, Ragdolls, Persians, but having had 3 purebreds, I just couldn't bring myself to buy another purebred. So I went to a reputable rescue who knew their cats, and I got Jenny. Okay, testing and certification. People say, like, how do they test if this cat's going to be a good therapy cat? Well, Therapeutic Paws of Canada has, I think it's only one person who does the evaluations, and Jenny had to go to Scarborough to be tested. And it happened to be the day of the Toronto Marathon and the Gardiner was closed. It took us 3 hours to get from Brantford to Scarborough. Then the tester was late because she got caught in traffic. There were 6 dogs and Jenny being tested. So here she is with 6 dogs. Okay, well, that's going to tell us how she reacts to dogs. The testing, and I've provided a link to the evaluation, and some of the criteria include how do they react to dogs, how is the cat with children, how did she react to a loud noise. They dropped a metal dog water dish on a cement floor to see how she'd react. When I visited with Celia, we had a fire alarm go off. So they have to know how the cat is going to react to noise. How are they going to react to crowds? So they had a whole bunch of people sort of hover around her. How was she with someone in a wheelchair with a walker? Someone dressed up as a vet with a stethoscope. Is the cat afraid of a vet? So it was just trying to judge the demeanor of the cat. I'm going to brag a little bit. Jenny got 10 out of 10 on her visit, or her evaluation. But that wasn't the end of the story. Then our local team leader at Therapeutic Pause had to go with me on monitored visits to see how Jenny was going to be in an actual situation. And Deborah Hutchinson, who is our local team leader with Therapeutic Pause, went with me. She's a dog person, but she said, okay, we'll go along. And she saw how Jenny reacted and approved. And after we completed our monitor visits, we were turned loose on our own. She has, a certified therapy cat has to have up-to-date vaccinations, and every year when Jenny gets her various shots, rabies, and there's another vaccine that they get every 3 years, I have to provide a certificate to the place that I visit. And just like during COVID, we all had to provide our COVID vaccination certificates. Jenny has to provide hers. And I had to re-qualify. I had to have a TB test. I had a police certificate, pass evaluation, the COVID shots, all this sort of thing. And it's understandable because you are dealing with vulnerable people. I visit a long-term care home. There are vulnerable seniors there, staff want to make sure that I'm okay, the cat is okay. So we passed all the paperwork and we were allowed to visit. To backtrack just a minute, Jenny wasn't up to visiting a whole bunch of different places. Celia was, Jenny, slightly different demeanor. She needed to go to the same place and meet more or less the same people every week. And I chose St. Joseph's Life Care Center from all the different places that I had visited with Celia. Jenny's job description. Well, a shout out to Shelley Murray, who is the volunteer coordinator at St. Joe's. She basically lets me do whatever I want, within reason, of course. If I have time, I'm allowed to visit as often as I want. Jenny prefers to only work half a day a week. She said that's enough. What we do is we arrive, we sign in, complete the COVID screening. We go to visit a list of residents that we have developed over the course of the 6 years we've been visiting there. We visit different people depending on how their day is going, how our day is going. If there's an outbreak in the unit, of course, we don't go near there because we don't want to risk transmitting from one unit to the other. Jenny's kind of hard to sanitize, so we have to be very careful about that. And so, for example, last Sunday, 2 out of the 6 units that we visited St. Joe's were in outbreak, one with influenza, one with a COVID outbreak, so we didn't go to those, which allowed us more time in other units. We also provide therapy to the staff as we go around visiting. We stop and interact with the staff. It's a great way for them to learn about therapy cats. for them to alert us to new residents and say, oh, avoid so-and-so. I think they have an allergy. We had a recent new resident who said, no, she does not like cats. The family has posted that. Fine. We have lots of people to choose from. St. Joe's has 208 residents, and so we are not short of people to visit. Okay, enough of the boring stuff. Jenny's job description. She has to be calm. Well, Jenny's about as calm as it gets. She rides around in her stroller. The picture on the right is her visiting with someone who didn't have the best of luck to snuggle up on, so the person was able to reach from her recliner into the stroller and be petted. So Jenny got petted. She does like to snuggle up on a recliner if there's room and get attention. She loves to stretch out on a bed and enjoy snuggles. She also stretches out beside someone on their recliner, especially if their feet are up, because it provides a nice laugh. This is a rough job. You have to like to relax. The lady who is holding Jenny's head there is 101. You'll notice that in all of these pictures, you'll see hands and laps, but no pictures of the resident because that goes against policy. I am not allowed to take pictures, privacy concerns, and I fully respect that. Jenny has particular friends, and I try to intersperse some of her favorites with maybe people who, she's okay with them, but she does have favorites. And it's very sad when one of those favorites passes, but there are new residents, and we find out from the staff who they are, and she gets to snuggle with other people. She has to be able to sleep on the job. This lady kind of confused me. English is not her first language, and she kept saying, oh, my bed is clean, my bed is clean. And I thought, does this mean she doesn't want the cat on her bed, or does this mean that her bed has just been changed and it's good for the cat to be on it? It was the latter. We always ask permission of the person before before Jenny either snuggles up with them or sits on their lap or gets on their bed or whatever. But you can see that she is really stressed out on the job. She also has to be friendly. This is an issue for Jenny because these are animatronic cats that a lot of the families that know their loved one likes cats. They can't have a cat at St. Joe's, so they buy these battery-operated cats. Jenny does not like that. But this one's batteries have died, and so she didn't mind looking at it. Sometimes the resident is concerned that their cat is going to be jealous of Jenny, and we have to respect that as well. But this one Jenny tolerated. She does occasionally meet dogs. This was a family had brought in their little dog, and the dog was cat friendly. We of course checked and made sure that the dog was fine with that. Jenny is not overly fond of dogs because she doesn't live with dogs, and we always make sure before she meets any dogs that are visiting at St. Joe's that the dog is going to be respectful of Jenny. She has to be able to multitask on the job. There's a gentleman on the ground floor at St. Joe's whose daughters filled the bird feeders outside his window. So needless to say, Jenny loves to visit this gentleman. He has a very nice fluffy blanket on a very nice recliner with his feet up, and she has a window view of the birds or the squirrels that come and eat the nuts that they put out. So she does enjoy visiting him, and she also gets a little live cat TV. She does get breaks. We usually visit on a Sunday afternoon, arriving about 1 o'clock and usually staying for 2.5, maybe 3 hours. But if she's getting tired, well, we take a break. She gets to watch outside, check out the squirrels. She gets to look at the fish that are in the aquarium in one of the activity rooms. It's a rough job. She is a star. Just at the beginning of COVID, a lady near New Hamburg was writing a book called Working Like a Dog, Doing Nothing Like a Cat, and she wanted to interview some of the therapy cats. And there's a chapter on Therapeutic Cause of Canada therapy cats that included a page on Jenny, but she made the cover, and she was quite impressed with that. And one of my heroes, Johnny Harris, who is on Murdoch Mysteries and still standing, he and his dog made the cover. So we felt we were in very good company. Jenny participates in the Grand River Council on Aging. The first Grand Parade in 2001 was in the midst of COVID, so it had to be done a little bit different. And Lucy Marco invited us to her home. We were outside, so no mask required. And Jenny came along in her stroller, and we strolled up and down Lucy's driveway and raised money for the Grand River Council on Aging. 2002 was held at the Kiwanis track, and pets were not allowed, even a cat in a stroller. Fine, we had to respect the rules. So Jenny didn't get to participate in 2002, but in 2003, she took part in the parade at home and was part of the St. Joe's team, and she donated some of her wallet lettuce. Now think green stuff in a wallet, money. She donated some of her wallet lettuce, and St. Joe's challenged the John Noble team as to how much they could raise. It was held in the very, very lovely gardens behind the hospice. And so Jenny was in her stroller. She wasn't overly fond of being in her stroller. She wanted Mommy to hold her so she could have a better view of the birds. So that's why that picture. Other therapy cats. Now, Therapeutic Cause of Canada, I managed to get some of the pictures from their website. Molly lives in Brampton, and she is also a rescue, a ginger. Hazel is a Sphinx cat with no hair, so she wears little jackets, and she's in Uxbridge. These are two recent additions to the Therapeutic Cause of Canada collection of therapy cats. There's Foxy and Frankie, who are brother and sister, and they are Maine Coons in Ajax Pickering. Thank goodness they're allowed to use a stroller with these cats, because I think they both weigh about 25 pounds. Jenny, by the way, only weighs 8.4 pounds. Everybody thinks she's a very big cat because she's long and lean, but she is not heavy like these guys. So strollers work really well. I belong to a Facebook group called ICAT, which stands for International Therapy Cats. And these are some of the members from that group. There is Rorschach, and the reason, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the reason he's called that is because he looks like the ink blot tests, and you'll notice his very interesting markings. He is with Pet Partners. There's Baxter, who is a purebred, oh dear, it's going to escape me what he's not a Maine Coon. Oh, Baxter's going to hate me for forgetting, but he's long-haired. But both males. There are two groups in the U.S. who do register therapy cats, Pet Partners and Love on a Leash, and some of the humane societies also do it. There's Big Boy, who happens to be a Maine Coon as well. Sputnik is a rescue. She definitely is long-haired, but I don't think is purebred. You'll notice the prevalence of strollers. Cats really like the strollers because it's a secure place that they can be if they're getting a little tired and walking a cat on a leash, Philia was the exception, but they usually aren't very easy to leash train. Okay, enough about work. Jenny has off-duty activities. She loves to help in the office. She particularly likes it if you're working on your computer. She loves to walk across the keyboard. She likes to help you plan trips. She's, thank goodness Auntie Jean doesn't mind. Jean and I share a house, so Jean gets to have the benefit of Jenny's off-duty activities. Whoops, slip through a slide. She loves to watch TV. She was watching Lion King. I think when we're going to have to get Birdie TV, I hear that's a hit with some of the other therapy cats. She also does her stretches, and it's a shame I can't move my laptop around because she is in that chair right now and is all filled with sleep, but she does do stretches. One of her favorite activities is looking cute. And yes, I had a cat quilt that has cats on it, and she just had to stretch out. Jenny lives with her cousin. My aunt's cat's name is Tara. She is not a therapy cat and never would be a therapy cat. Tara is far too independent, stubborn, and just there's no way she is going to snuggle with people. She snuggles with her mummy, and that is it. However, we did take her to see Santa Claus at PetSmart at Christmas, and she was pretty cooperative. You'll notice Santa has a very tight hold on her, and her leash and harness are there. But no, she's not a potential therapy cat. When we adopted Tara from the rescue that is Perfect Companions of Norfolk, they were very, very good about finding a good match for Jenny. Jenny's a very gentle soul, and so Tara had to be a gentle cat, non-bullying. There were some other criteria like free feeding. Jenny has to eat. She snacks probably 25 times a day. So the cat we adopted, or Jean, had to be a free feeder. Jenny and Tara are not a bonded pair by any means, but they do hang out together. Our pet sitter had this lovely light made for us that shows Jenny and Tara. They do share when there's sunbeams. They share a cat tree, but you'll notice Jenny is on top. Jenny was here first. Tara came 3 years later, and Tara knows that Jenny's the boss. Jenny's very gentle, but she was here first, and Tara copies what Jenny does. If Jenny is allowed to do something, Tara says, okay, I can do it too. They share a stool that looks out onto the backyard so they can watch the bunnies and the squirrels and the chipmunks and the birds. But they are not big buddies. They don't sleep together. They do play, they do chase, but okay, before the recording quits, you're not allowed to ask questions during the recording, but I did have some frequently asked questions because when I'm visiting at St. Joe's, I often get asked, how did you train Jenny? Well, anybody who has a cat knows you don't train a cat. The cat trains you. Fortunately, because it was a reputable rescue, I got a cat that they knew and that matched the criteria I gave them. So Jenny came trained, and she had to train me. I did have to work at socializing her before she was tested. I had to make sure she was okay with dogs. I had to make sure that she was okay with going out in the car, going to PetSmart. We got to meet a lot of different people. So yeah, I kind of trained her, but if she hadn't had the right personality, no amount of training is going to do it. No, she is not declawed. Declawing is illegal in all provinces in Canada except Ontario, but most reputable veterinarians will not declaw unless it is for the cat's benefit. The cat I had in the long past used to scratch the back of her neck. We had to have her back claws taken out. I left the front ones. She still scratched the furniture. But no, I would never, ever have a cat with clawed unless it was for medical reason for them. But I do trim Jenny's nails every Sunday morning before we go to visit. She has never scratched anyone, but her nails are very dull, and it just lessens any risk of her scratching. I've often asked, what if she needs the litter box? It's not like a dog. You can't just take her out to the vets and have her pee. We thought about taking along a portable litter box, but she just wouldn't use it. You don't go to a public bathroom. You have to wait until you get home. Fortunately, she's a young, healthy cat. She probably goes to the litter box 2 or 3 times a day. I try to encourage her before we leave. That usually doesn't work. But how do I know if she needs a break or it's time to go home? Because I intersperse her visits with visits to her very favorite people that she will have a nap with, that she will fall asleep with, that's her break. If she gets very, very restless and tells me it's time to go home, we go home. Jean also visits at St. Joe's. We go there together. I text her and I say it's time to go. But that doesn't happen very often. Jenny's kind of used to spending the 2.5 hours. And she's been doing this other than COVID. She's been doing it since July of 2017. And except when we were on holidays, she goes every week. And that's just the way Jenny operates. Credits. You can't finish it. I was a librarian, so you can't finish a presentation without credits. Big shout out to the team leader, Jeff Hutchinson, who's the local team leader for Therapeutic Cause of Canada. Without that organization, Jenny would not be certified as a therapy cat. It could probably be done on an informal basis, but this provides me with liability insurance and credibility. I have not had any occasion to need either of those, but it's just nice knowing they're there. A huge shout out to Shelley Murray at St. Joe's. Shelley gives Jenny and I the freedom to explore the different visit with different residents. They make introductions to new residents who would enjoy a cat visit. They let us know about outbreaks so we can avoid those units. The communication is stellar. I can't say enough positive things about Shelley. Haven's Hope, which is where Jenny came from, unfortunately is no longer active. The Brantford Vet Clinic is still there, but they don't have a rescue. Jenny's vet is Shellard Lane Animal Hospital. They have been absolutely wonderful, even during COVID. They were okay with me taking a picture of, shall we say, litter box results that didn't look too good, and prescribing an antibiotic that worked just fine. We did all of this via email. When she goes in to visit, they're always very thorough because her health is extremely important, not just because she's my loving pet, but because there are other people that she's visiting. And even though Jenny didn't come from this rescue, Perfect Companions of Norfolk is where Tara came from. And if anyone who either is attending this presentation or who is viewing the recording is considering getting a cat, don't get a free kitten. Don't pick up a stray. First of all, you don't know what you're getting. Second of all, it's going to cost you a fortune to have them shots brought up to date, spayed and neutered, which you obviously should do. Go to a reputable rescue, and there are a number of them around, and adopt a known adult. Or if you really want a kitten, they also do that. But especially for us seniors, getting an adult cat, you don't have to live with kittens, which can be stressful. I've included my contact information. I'm always happy to talk cat with anyone who wants or anyone who has any questions. When I visit at St. Joe's, I carry a little business card that has paw prints on it because I have questions. My cat is howling all the time and finding the curtains. What should I do? Or, oh, my old cat just passed. Where can I get a good kitten or cat? So I do welcome any questions or just to have a nice chat about cats. So I think that's the end of it. Linda probably turns off the recording, or does Sarah do that?